Yeah. Okay, so now we have everything. Could you try to go through the vision statement draft? So, does someone have anything to say about this draft?
So it's all one sentence.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not nice to read.
That doesn't work. One
Yeah.
sentence like that doesn't work at all. You need several sentences and maybe less details. I mean, all the details that are in there, all the list of verbs of what it does and what it is, or, you know, maybe they could go in a second paragraph or something. That's because it's not really a, you know, it's very clear on what it actually is planning to do, but in a vision statement, it just doesn't work like that.
Okay. Okay, so it's just a very first draft and simple stitch. So it's to divide it into the two paragraphs at least. What
And
do you think?
it should be simplified because it's too much.
Yeah, okay.
It's sort of clear what we're aiming for, but you could just say, since it's a vision, we could just have all of the technical details being included in make it good or something like that.
So do you suggest to just remove most of the technical details and concentrate on the actual targets, right?
Yes, it should be clear for not technical people.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Okay, so let me
I'm using a
yeah,
suggestion,
thank you.
but there's still way too many.
I mean, the technical details could be in a roadmap or in like action points, but the vision statement,
Yeah.
I think, is good if it's readable for anyone who can read English.
Also, what does this mean, API reach?
It means
Probable.
just to implement an API with let's say the stable API. But well, it's a technical term which probably it should be removed from here.
Yeah. So if it's a stable API, then and can it say API reachable? Can you say that?
No, I cannot. No. It is not about that. Let's remove this API reach because yeah, it's really very technical.
Could call it something like machine actionable or something like that.
Yes, the machine actionable is it's probably the right term.
You have to say what PIDs are. So DPM.
So yeah, once we would make it readable for anyone, that we should say about what PID is. I'm preparing now the also the minutes and then add them to the document before placing this draft for further editing.
User-friendly, open source, programmable, and machine actionable, decentralized solutions.
Maybe we could stress the point that makes the DPIDs special when compared to other persistent identifiers.
Yes, but in which aspect? In the aspect that it is decentralized, open for sharing, or it is more fair than closer to fair model than the others?
Yeah, good question.
Yes, really a good question.
I also disagree with allowing data curating facilities. I mean, data curating, it means that, yes, that one.
Yeah.
That you're going to curate data points, not metadata. And persistent identifiers is about metadata mostly.
Mostly, yes.
So
yeah.
this is not correct.
Okay. So
You could argue that the data curating facilities are interested in DPIDs for their data, for the metadata of their data.
Yes, and this is another special aspect of DPID because it is based on IPFS, so we can store both data and metadata. And this is a question about should we mention this or not, and how it should be mentioned. We lost Lars.
Yeah, he was having problem connecting, so, but I'm not sure if he was that keen. He's still on vacation.
Yeah, well, anyhow, I will publish the recording on this meeting, so we will see, and he will see, and anyone who didn't appear today will be able to see. Okay, so it's another question. About the data curation, it's really, again, a good question because the main aspect for me is should we mention that DPID also allows to store the actual data, or it is not for the vision statement? What do you think?
I think it's too much in the technical details for a vision statement.
Okay,
But-
then.
Yeah, I agree, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so we should focus on another aspects like it will allow to share this always the same software protocol and the others, right?
Those are the selling points, I would say.
Yeah. Okay.
If I mean, if it allows for additional features that can be stated elsewhere as well, I mean that's more of a bonus, as I see it this early on, at least.
Yeah.
And I also believe that many people who are working with sensitive data doesn't want to use that feature anyway.
Yes, for sure. And then we would also mention that it allows to yield the authentication, authorization, and the access control as it is already done. Should we keep it?
All those details that are below are like too complicated for a vision statement.
Mhm.
It
I
should-
would say this sentence way to identify secure version, derive, manage, find, blah blah blah, it could be replaced with keeping provenance of the data.
Yes, okay. Because for me it's yes, really important mentioning, because for me as a more technical guy it's like less clear.
Yes, but that is good for action points or for your roadmap or whatever. But the vision statement is like more visionary.
Yes, yes, and this is why we started this discussion.
So I think I agree with the others that the vision statement is what we would like to have in terms of ordinary non-technical people's views of what would be usable.
Yeah.
Whereas a technical description is a way to achieve that, but that doesn't mean that it has to be in the vision.
Yes, yes, I agree. I agree with this. So let's see that.
I wouldn't say strive to provide, you just provide. Centralized PID initiative, provide user-friendly.
It is a vision. We can state whatever we want. It doesn't need to be.
Yeah, all the technical details should go into
Yeah, into the roadmap.
machine actionable. So I think we should say a little bit more about the decentralized solution. Because it's, if you know, in what sense is it decentralized?
Yeah, so to let the people understand what it is.
Right, exactly. So just saying it's decentralized is not enough to allow people understand what it is.
Yes, and do you have any thought about how we should write about this in the vision, about the decentralization?
Yeah, so you should keep all these details that are below. You should, do you have another draft somewhere else where you have all that text and all these things that you have in there? You need to keep it for your roadmap. You don't want to get rid of it.
Actually, it's a copy of the last paragraph of the blog post draft.
Okay.
So I will just keep it inside.
Move all this stuff in a blog post draft area, so we don't touch that today.
Yes, yes, it will be kept here.
Okay.
That is a good place for it as well.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. So I was completing the work on over the blog post, and the last paragraph for me was like not an example, but really the first stitch of the vision statement.
Let me ask some stupid questions here.
Yes.
By decentralized, do we mean that you could access it from a lot of places simultaneously, or that there is a lot of redundancy?
Both. It is accessible from any point of the network on which you have a proper software and the protocols, and also the redundancy out of the box, but the redundancy is dependent from the sovereignty of on the data. Because someone could decide not to have the data published, but the metadata will be still published and available.
Yeah. Formulate that into one sentence, and I think that is quite interesting.
Yeah, could you please write it down just below of this text, and then We can.
Oh, I just asked the question. You had the answer.
Yeah. Sorry. Well, about one sentence, because now I don't know exactly how to write about this in one sentence.
Say it
If you-
again. If you can say it again the way you said it before, I can try to write it, but I'm with the last person who spoke. I'm not quite sure I grasp it enough that I can write something. But if you say it again, maybe.
About the aspects of decentralizing. So we have decentralization as an aspect of access, the possibility to access the data or metadata from any point of the network, from a lot of places. And also we have the out-of-the-box redundancy for both metadata and the data the particular participant decided to share. So the participant have the sovereignty over the data, but in terms of the aims of the persistent identification system, he does not have a sovereignty over the metadata.
He does not have what?
The sovereignty,
Oh, okay.
total control over the metadata that should be shared over the system.
So what you mean is that you share the metadata, but the data is up to you whether or not you include it.
You can provide an access control like most of the publishers do.
Okay, yeah.
But it's really about the key point is about metadata, I
Yes,
think.
the key point is about metadata. So it's both aspects we have, and it's already implemented in decentralized networks. So both accessibility from any point and the redundancy. So the metadata are as redundant as many participants we have, and some subset of participants who at least once requested this metadata.
Okay. So a subset of participants who requested the metadata once can actually make it available as well?
It make it redundant.
Okay.
So there is a redundancy inside the network, but every single request can make the metadata more redundant.
Okay. Once
And
can-
can you explain how you see it for data itself, for data points? Because I don't quite understand.
Well, I can explain from two points of view. The first point of view is, let's say, ideal point of view. Once the research institution shares the data set, uploading it to IPFS network. So the DPID as a persistent identifier addresses the root point of the, let's say the graph containing the metadata in case the access control landing page and the data themselves. So we have a
What do you mean data itself? It will be a file.
yes, it's just a file, so you're uploading it into the decentralized network. And like with the metadata, every download, every request to retrieve this data will make it more redundant.
But it's clearly only about metadata. There is no story about data itself.
The data about the data itself inside the decentralized network, it's still the story also about the data, because once you are sharing the data using the decentralized network, you will have a redundancy on your side once you downloaded this data.
Yeah, but that doesn't really, I mean, I would rather focus on the metadata because facilities that provide data, they want to have control over who, because they get funding with a
Yeah.
number of users and things like that. So they don't necessarily want to make their data accessible by somebody else, and like in a peer-to-peer network. I mean,
Yeah.
Yes, yes. So this is the second point I want to try to explain. It's a not, let's say, ideal situation when the data curator doesn't want to share them and doesn't want to, let's say, allow the other participants of a decentralized network to provide even the redundancy. So the redundancy is provided only for the metadata, but the access is actually yielded to the owner of the data.
So
So
I
the
would
decentral, sorry?
focus on redundancy of the metadata.
Yes.
And even that introduces issues of quality because and quality control, because if let's say you know, okay, so you have versioning, fortunately, because the metadata changes. I mean, some like of the biological facilities, for instance, metadata that was introduced for some sequences like 10 years ago is different now because the researchers made progress and they realized that what was in there 10 years ago was wrong. So they changed the metadata, or it can be like, you know, different different family or different connotations of what it's doing.
As long as we are talking about metadata, that is probably not a problem since
Exactly.
that can be updated and you
Well,
can
now
have a
it
date
is, yeah,
stamp,
sorry.
a timestamp.
Now it is set to, we don't have Eric here because he would explain much better than me. But as I studied a bit the documentation of GPID prototype, they already had the versioning implemented.
But
So it's,
versioning for data or metadata?
now, because they are able also to store the digital objects themselves, and they don't care about the nature of these digital objects, it is for both data and metadata, like Zenodo.
I think
Wouldn't
that there is a source of confusion. What is digital object? So in my understanding, because I'm basically coming from Dataverse network, which is Harvard, and what we mean about digital object is basically metadata. We are not dealing with any data points. So we are basically we see file as one digital object. That's it. We are not going inside. But what you are saying, if you'll go inside of this file, you will get all data points, and you will assign to every data point, you will assign a separate persistent identifier. This is what you are saying. And I don't believe that's even possible because of computational limitations in blockchain kind of networks.
In blockchain,
So,
yes.
Yeah, so basically what we are discussing now, can we in blockchain-like network put all data and assign persistent identifiers? And we're not ready for that. So
Well,
this is
yeah,
not
so,
well, but I don't believe that we are ready for that because it's impossible to put something like all data points in this kind of network. It will be very slow. This the way how it works now, right? So
yeah.
sorry.
yes.
You will also experience the problem you have with like torrent files when you're trying to download from many people at the same time, and if you're not on a very good connection, that could slow down the sharing part of it. And if you have data that is like, for instance, several hundred of terabytes, you really don't want to share that from your laptop or wherever you are. You want to get it from the server directly.
Oh, yes, and
So I'm not sure. I think that being able to share data is suitable, at least not for many biological data.
well, when it comes to the very large data sets, yes, it's a problem.
Basically to any data sets.
Well, about
look, if you'll download a simple data set in Excel, I don't know, GDP per capita with thousands of values, and you want to assign to every column and every value, you want to assign persistent identifier and create graph, right? So it's already kind of a complicated structure, and you want also to curate it, and you want to do all this magic mentioned in the sentence, and I don't think we are ready for that.
No, absolutely not, because digital object for me, the digital object is a bitstream.
So obviously we are talking about metadata here, not about data itself.
Yes, let's focus on metadata, then
Okay.
we will avoid any misunderstanding.
Yeah. Okay. Project decentralized initiative provide a user-friendly, open source, programmable, and machine actionable. If we say machine actionable, shouldn't that include programmable? It's not exactly the same thing, but since it's actionable, it could potentially be programmable. So we
It
don't
says
have...
programmable right in front of it.
Yeah, so
No, I was suggesting removing the word programmable because we have
I agree.
machine
yes,
action.
I agree too.
Okay.
Yeah, machine actionable we have.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Long distance for persistent identifiers. Okay.
But also open source, this is kind of strange because you are limiting participation only to open source participants, right?
Well, it's about the participants actually sharing the same software, and it is natural to have it open source. It's the meaning of these words.
So Microsoft, is it open source mostly or not open source?
It is Microsoft mostly not, but if
but GitHub belongs to Microsoft and OpenAI belongs to Microsoft.
GitHub
Yeah.
belongs, but
Yes.
Git itself does not.
Okay.
So it's well, it's again the problem, but it's licensing problem. Probably we should not concentrate on it because
So I would say just replace open source with open, because we're talking about protocol.
well, I could agree. I could not completely agree with this, but yes, we can in the vision statement. I think we can say something like that. So I will remove her.
Okay.
And also there is a problem with fair data object requirement guidelines. Because they are requiring explicitly that we should not stick to any particular software stack. To avoid this, the first step is to make all of the software open source.
Yeah, but the problem here, if you want also to get sensitive information with decentralized identifiers, right? So there are possibilities that some commercial parties can join and implement that.
Yes, but it's the question about the licensing.
Mm-hmm.
So once you are implementing the same protocol and some subset of persistent identifiers, it should be doable. For example, if you are sharing the protocols under the MIT license, it is not prohibited.
So licenses should be mentioned here, or what?
I don't think so, Jonas.
Yeah, I had a completely different stupid question, and it was since you said that redundancy will increase whenever someone downloads and you have metadata from previously one place now in two places. Does that mean that you need to have like your own client running in order to actually share that with someone else?
No, you may not run your own client. You can just download your metadata or data using the gateways, but every participant is actually encouraged to provide a gateway.
Okay, so
Like
in theory, redundancy doesn't increase unless the participants who download the data also provide it.
Yes, in theory, it may increase, it may not.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Theoretically, it is increasing because once you are requesting some metadata from one of the gateways will store it, and it will provide it automatically without any intervention from, let's
Okay,
say,
but
from the
these
human
gateways
hands.
need to be located somewhere.
Sorry?
The gateways need to be located somewhere.
Once you are running a client or the software to mint your PIDs, you will have this feature already.
And that is opt-in to run one of these, I guess.
Yes.
And by saying gateway, what exactly you mean?
Well, there are some, let's say, some definitions about the gateway inside the underlying IPFS network and the front-end network. So from our point of view as the PID developers, it should be HTTP gateway to retrieve the metadata at first, and the resolver of the existing PIDs. So it's an endpoint that listens for the request to resolve.
Mhm. I don't quite understand. So resolver is another component. It's also decentralized. It doesn't belong to anyone. What it does is just getting keys, and it does comparison of verification of keys and providing access to resolve digital object.
It works from the point of view of external user. It works like that. But imagine the situation when you are retrieving the metadata from one point, for example, from Harvard University, next point from, for example, the University of Uppsala, and it could be anywhere. So once you have the gateways is provided by both of them. So you can place a request on any.
So I don't understand this situation. So one university, Harvard, has one key, and Uppsala has another key. And what basically service does, this service endpoint, it does resolving based on keys again. So what is gateway in this situation?
Yeah. So are you thinking about the keys as cryptographic keys or as the identifiers?
This is kind of a component also in decentralized network. So keys are basically what we're dealing with.
Well, once you have a literally decentralized network, it's not the keys used to control the access. So the resolver, if the given PID leads to the public carries the publicly available data, it could be resolved from any point of the network running the software. For example, me as user can provide the software, install it on my own server, and then I would be, despite I have the private key of the data owner or not, but I should be able to resolve any existing and openly available PID of the network. This is a meaning.
So resolver is basically gateway. This is what you're saying.
Yes, from our point of view, when we are speaking about retrieving the metadata, yes.
So it should be resolver, not gateway, because resolver is established term.
But also, again, if you have a right to access some metadata, it always would be retrievable from any point of the network. So this is another aspect of decentralization. So the actual server is placed somewhere and nowhere.
Yeah, this is what I mean about resolver. So look at Uni resolver. This is what it does. I put link in the chat.
Yes, thank you, because I viewed it. But
so this is exactly a functionality that implemented in Uni resolver. As you see, there is a dev because you can get it installed on your side and you can use it locally also. And if you'd like, you can go outside and you can also resolve externally. So in your definition, this is resolver.
Well, this is this is the resolver, and just a sec. Let me see on the chat. And what kind of an underlying network it utilizes? Where the actually data graph are stored?
There are a lot of implementations. You can check next link.
Yes, on the GitHub.
Yeah. So different networks are already supported out of the box.
So it uses DID.
DID, yeah. And in my understanding, DID is what we are talking about, or I'm not correct.
Well, DID themselves, they are not correctly fit our let's say our tasks, because in this what the mechanism of redundancy, the question is, what the mechanism of redundancy does the system use? So once we are storing the metadata, will be able, for example, to donate some storage to store and to make the metadata redundant in the context of Uniresolver?
Yes.
And the underlying software stack just makes this able, like we have in a torrent network, for example.
Absolutely, this is how it works. There are some well, I think about 100 implementations from different vendors, but this is what it does basically.
And
so you can get your own software installed on your server. You can create DID, and this DID will be synchronized with other pieces of network. And yeah, I think this is what you want or not.
And what about the versioning?
So all information stored locally in your software will be also transmitted to other nodes and will be synchronized.
Yes, so it the synchronization is already implemented using
yes,
decentralized transport. Yes.
Yeah, so there are two ways basically to deal with versioning. So you can update already created DID as soon as you have private key produced when you created it. And second way, you can just create new one and connect to previous.
And what the mechanism of connection?
You should apply private key and you should change message.
So it's like a blockchain.
Yeah, it's basically like a blockchain, but a very light version, which you can run by yourself.
Yes, yes, because from the point of view of IPFS network, it doesn't work like this. It stores all of the metadata and data as the chunked bit stream inside the direct acyclic graphs. So, for example, it's not possible to make a fork over it could be done on the blockchain network. In the IPFS network, it's totally immutable. So do you have a mechanism in the Uniresolver? Is there a mechanism of immutability, except the private key ownership provenance? Because this here, it could be actually a special feature, very special.
I need to check spec. I don't know right now.
Yeah, because here it's as you mentioned, the sensitive data is extremely important. Because if it is even possible to make the fork or branch inside your blockchain similar network, it is literally could be considered not safe. because it just because it is not proven on the algorithmical level, as it is done in direct acyclic graphs. So yes, it's an open question.
What I can do, I can invite one of DD implementation developers to the next meeting. So we can ask questions directly.
Yes, I think I would be really glad to hear from them and to discuss this question. Because
Okay.
now it's like about the killer feature of the decentralized storage network like IPFS.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, Lynn, thank you very much for creating these sentences. So I think for further discussion, we will have a really good vision statement draft.
Yeah, I'm not sure that this actually reflects what you're saying, but I also started wondering about, and this is like another completely naive questions about the DPID. So do you actually, who creates them? Like, because when you look at PIDs, you have to go to one of the few offices that create them. So like, my institution has one, but otherwise you go to DataCite or you go to Zenodo and they give you a PID. So in the case of DPIDs, do you also have to go through these institutions or do you just create it yourself? When you put your, and in that sense, how is it persistent and how does it not conflict with the ones that already exist?
It's a very important question. Yes, it's a good question for us. About DPID, Slava, do you know? Can you reply on this question?
You mean DID?
Yes.
DID, yeah, I can actually respond to this. So there is a kind of that basically three concepts. So first is holder. This is person who owns certificate, and issuer. So this is entity that basically giving certificate to holder and makes it secure, and verifier. So there are three different entities that they're interacting with each other, and after the ID is being created with private and public keys. So if you're interested, I wrote a paper some time ago.
Really ask about, I'm sorry to I interrupted you, but is that, let's say if I have some data or if I'm a data curator and I have some data and I want to, so if I want to attribute persistent identifiers to them, I have to request, let's say DOI is the easiest, but there are others too. I have to request a DOI from either Zenodo or from DataCite. Right. So what I'm wondering is that with DPIDs, you still have to do that step. You still have to request the DOI or the PIDs and then make it distributed. But the request, the original creation of the PID is still something that's done by the regular the institutions that create.
No, for the ID, it's basically your responsibility. So there are participants in the network, and everybody is installing distributed software, and basically you're just sending requests to issuer, and issuer is getting your certificate, and it's basically creating a public private key, which is sending back to you together with just created DID. This is the way how it works.
You mean for the DPIDs?
Well, DPIDs, I have impression that it's a little bit different story, but I'm talking about DID.
Okay.
Which is what I've just shared in the chat.
Okay.
So probably Andrei can correct if it works different way for DPID.
Okay.
Well, for DPID, it works well in slightly different way that you don't need an entry point acting as an agent. So you may install your own entry point, and once you are minting the DPID over some data, It's minted using a uniform way using the hash functions. So what you really need in case you may not decide to use it, to use your private key to sign your DPID, sign your identifier. But the fact is you are creating your PID in the unified way, but you are creating it by yourself. The idea is the
Yeah.
following.
So that was my question. Do you have to go to one of those institutions in order to get a PID, or can you just create it yourself? Because that, you issue your own DPID yourself and put it on the network was together
In the
with.
in context of the decentralized storage network like IPFS, you are minting them by yourself.
So
Okay.
what you're getting back after it's been created?
You are getting the ID that allows anyone to retrieve your metadata from the network.
Okay, so this is your persistent identifier, but are you getting back also some information that allows you to be in control of that?
Yes.
So
Yes.
there is no difference between a DPID and DID then? You're getting the same information also from DID?
It means it depends here from the implementation.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it depends here from the implementation. In the current prototype by Desai Labs, we have also the authorization made by Orsider. So you have an entry point on which you are coming to place literally a request to make your operations over your metadata.
And by mentioning hash, some hash, you actually meant key or not?
No.
No?
It's literally a cryptographic hash functions over the metadata.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And these hash functions also used to record your metadata into direct acyclic graph. So it's totally immutable and already. Okay, Lynn. We have already spoke for an hour.
Yeah, this is. I think this is an important question, and we should continue discussing that at the.
Yeah, just a second. Would we plan to have a next meeting in 2 weeks?
2 weeks. 2 weeks, I can make it. A month, probably not.
Okay, so which date would you prefer? 16th, 17th, 18th
Of January.
of January?
Let's see. Let's look at my calendar. 16, 17, 18. 18 probably.
The others?
18. That's fine, but if it's at 8 a.m., I mean, for me, it's 8 a.m., so it's likely I won't have a conflict at that time.
Okay, so I will create then a doodle poll, and then send it on both Mattermost and the mailing list.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, would you like to continue with the discussion, or we should plan for the next meeting? Because we have another 10 minutes booked on the Zoom room.
Yeah, I think for next time, really.
Okay.
And can you share current spec of DPID?
Just a sec. Yes. So here it is.
Oh, it's just dpid.org.
Yes.
That was easy.
And there is a testing resolver. So you would see the interface.
And
But here
where can I download specification?
the specification here should be here. And also there are some links to Git and Gitbook. So you can see and download.
Can you put it in chat also?
Yes, yes. Yes, I'm doing it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I think we can complete for now. And then I will just publish a doodle poll. Okay,
Okay.
so thank you very much. Thank you
Okay,
very much.
thanks.
The discussion was
Okay.
was really important, and I will publish the video as soon as I will have it encoded.
Okay.
Thank you again,
Hey,
and see you
bye-bye.
next time. Bye.
Bye.
See you.